Hey guys, what's good? It's the Tominator, and it's been a while since I did one of these best shape ever videos, so figured with the Olympia in the bag and everything, why not now? And for the record, this thumbnail is not the answer, okay? Because this is a photo shoot, and we don't count photo shoots in this series. This is contest footage only. So I took a poll, and as you can see, Kai Greene won in a landslide. Not too surprising, perhaps, given his enormous popularity, but if you voted for Dexter or Sean, don't worry, I will go back and do videos for them at some point down the road as well. But when it comes to Kai L. Greene, it's really tough to say because he's come in shape to a lot of shows, but has never really knocked it out of the park. He's always seemed to come in between 80 to 90, maybe 95%, but never truly 100%. Or dare I say it, he probably would have won an Olympia by now. He has quite a few notable contests on his resume, though. The 2009 Arnold Classic was one of my personal favorites. He was a little smaller back then and not as dry as in some future appearances, but still boasted crazy detail and development and a great overall shape. The 2009 Australian Grand Prix was likewise an impressive outing. He was even more conditioned here, as you can note the striations in not only the triceps, but the lower lat as well. But again, he was a little smaller than what we're customarily used to seeing from the Predator. Some of you may think back to the second time he won the Arnold Classic in 2010, as he had put on a little more size, but at the expense of some conditioning, as he was holding a slight film of water in this contest. The 2011 New York Pro was also a noteworthy victory. Kai came in here bigger than ever before, but still peeled and looked like a true monster. This pick might very well be one of the best crab most musculars he's ever hit. But let's be perfectly honest, none of these packages can hold a candle to what he brought to the Generation Iron movie premiere, rocking the disco ball blazer, baby. Kai is shining brighter than a diamond and smokes Phil Heath on not only width but style points as well. If the winner is the one your eyes are drawn to most, then, well, enough said. Okay, but in all seriousness, when it comes to Kai's best shape, there are three versions that stand above the rest in my opinion. The first was the 2016 Arnold Classic Ohio, one of his last competitions where he came in arguably bigger and better than ever, and the icing on the cake was that he had virtually zero traces of stomach distension. This twisting biceps pose right here is one of his best and never ceases to inspire awe. That arm is absolutely insane. The 2014 Mr. Olympia needs to be considered as well, as this was the year that many fans point to as his uncrowned Mr. Olympia title. And for the record, this picture is taken from the finals, where the lighting and photo quality is head and shoulders above the prejudging footage. Again, we see him demonstrating that mountainous biceps peak, easily one of the best in history. And finally, we can't forget about the 2012 Olympia. This was the first time he really pushed Phil at the O, and this was arguably his crispest conditioning ever. So even though he was a little leaner and flatter compared to 2014 and 2016, we absolutely cannot dismiss the physique he brought to the stage that year. So what we're going to do now is go through pose-by-pose comparisons of all 3 years, and we'll see which one comes out on top. So from left to right, we have 2012, 2014, and 2016. Now, it should go without saying, but a hastily compiled picture comparison like this is never going to be perfect. Each show has different lighting with unique backgrounds, the photos are taken from various sources and different angles, so the quality is inconsistent, and the scaling may also be a little off. And furthermore, his physique itself will vary even over the course of a single show, depending on whether it's the finals or the prejudging. In 2016, for instance, he looked markedly better in the finals compared to the prejudging. But regardless, I think we can still tell some things when we stack them together like this side by side. For starters, 2012 looks to be the most defined here. He's showing the sharpest separation through the thighs and arguably upstairs as well, although 2014 comes very close in terms of the upper body. 2016 is a larger, fuller version, but is also quite clearly the least conditioned. So for my money, this one is 2012. He has the most polished look from head to toe, and even though the arms aren't quite as massive as the later two contests, it's not like Kai has ever lacked for size when it comes to the biceps and tricep sweep in the front double. I could certainly see some people going with 2014 on this one for the extra mass through the arms and the graininess factor, and that's fair, but in 2016, his flare through the lats no longer seems as pronounced, so for me, this one is a definite third. In the lat spread, again, it's 2012. His V-taper is easily the best here, and his quads again show superior separation. While they increased in size and vascularity and his body got grainier over time, he still looks the best overall in the version on the left. In 2014, he's bigger and shows improvements in the delts, but he's not presenting his chest as well anymore. In 2016, the wheels look a little better than 2014, but now his lats don't seem to flare out as wide. Again, this could just be due to a poorly timed photo, but I'm judging off what I have to go by here, so it's 2012 all the way in the front lat spread. In the side chest, we've got a battle on our hands between 2016 and 2012. I think most of us can agree that conditioning-wise, 2014 looks a little off, so we can rule out the version in the middle. But as for the two on the outside, on the one hand, I prefer Kai's upper body there on the right. His arms, pecs, and shoulders all look harder and are showing more pop. But on the other hand, Kai's lower body is clearly sharper on the left. Look at all the etching there in his outer quad, it's nuts. So this one is extremely close, but I'm going to give a slight edge to 2016 here. Turning around to the back lat spread, I don't know, it's not a great look for him any year. For such a stellar world-class back, Kai always tended to look pretty lousy in the lat spread. But if I had to pick, I might just go with 2014 on this one because even though his conditioning, especially in the lower body, isn't nearly as good as 2012, the back itself looks much better as he's showing the most width in that one. But really, take your pick here, guys. You could honestly make an argument for any version because all these shots leave some room for improvement. In the back double biceps, and holy cow, look at that shot in the middle. You see, guys, this is what I warned you about. So far, we've been looking at 2014 pics taken from prejudging, but this is from the finals, and suddenly Kai has transformed into a whole new person. The lighting here is outrageous. Everything in his back is just popping out at you with that 3D effect, a la his nemesis Phil Heath. So yeah, this one needs to be taken with a grain of salt, but if I'm just going on this evidence here in front of us, it's 2014 all day. 2012 he looks really good as well, but 2016 is rather disappointing. Keep in mind, I tried to find the best pictures I could for each year, so it's not like I deliberately am trying to make him look bad here just to prove a point or something. So yeah, this was the best back double biceps I could find from 2016, and sadly, it's just not cutting it. Moving on to the side triceps. Well, I couldn't actually find one of Kai hitting it in 2014, so I wanted to use this opportunity to show you the back double bicep he hit in prejudging. Or a simulacrum anyway. The stance is a little unconventional, but you know how Kai is. And as you can see, it's nowhere near as good as what he displayed in the finals. So this is the magic of camera angles and lighting, guys. Kai has literally transformed before our eyes. But anyway, as for the side tricep, it's not the best look, admittedly, but I think from what we can see, I'd have to go with 2012. Put that one on top again, as the legs look crisper and his midsection looks a little trimmer than 2016. In the ab and thigh, it's 2012 once again. Not by a wide margin this time, but at the risk of sounding like a broken record, he's simply the most conditioned this year. Sure, the leading leg looks great in all 3 years, but what about the other leg? It's most defined in 2012. 2014, he looks good on the whole, but his waistline is too wide and blocky at this stage, and he's spilling over in the obliques. Surprisingly enough, his midsection is actually the most streamlined in 2016, but that doesn't quite make up for his more watery look, plus his taper was still better in 2012. And finally, we come to the most muscular. Never a strong pose for Kai, but I did manage to cobble together a couple of impressive shots nonetheless. In the hands clasp variation, I think he fares quite well, actually. Now, here I would have to give the edge to 2016 because the size improvements he made through the shoulders and arms are really serving him well in this one. 2014, I couldn't find him hitting it this way, so went with a hands-on hip. And while he looks good in certain areas like the quads and delts, it just doesn't look all that great through the chest or midsection to my eyes. His execution here throws off his symmetry a little, so I'd have to go with 2016 here. Finally, we come to the crab, and 2016 is running away with it. In 2012, this was his worst pose by far. His shoulders look terribly small and flat, and his arms simply aren't full enough to pull it off. In 2014, his width is tremendous, but he completely neglected to flex his pecs, so his chest, the very centerpiece of the pose, mind you, is like a missing piece of the puzzle. And again, his weak lateral head of the triceps and short peaky biceps are not all that well suited to this one. In 2016, however, by standing more upright, he presents his arms and his shoulders and even the pecs in a more favorable light. He's also being conscious to flex his abs, so the whole upper body is on point now. And the feathering through the quads completes the picture for a standout most muscular. So that's all for this one, homies. I think you can probably guess my final verdict, but what do you guys think? Was it his latest 2016 Arnold Classic win, or his impressive run against Phil at the 2014 Mr. Olympia? Or are you like me and believe that the 2012 Mr. O was Kai Greene's best shape ever? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, but for my money, this was a somewhat surprisingly straightforward victory for 2012. Again, he was arguably at his all-time sharpest and brought one of his most aesthetic physiques this year, so even if he was slightly smaller and perhaps a tad too depleted, I still maintain that this was the best Kai ever looked. One can only hope that in 2019 he'll mount a long-awaited comeback and bring something even better. Perhaps even pull a Sean Roden and show up at his all-time best and leave the judges no choice but to crown a new Olympia champion. But regardless of what the future holds for Kai, I'd like to take this moment to thank you all for watching, and as always, feel free to leave a like and subscribe for more. Until next time, I'm the Tominator signing out, and I'll be back.